All right, this is Atlas's third lesson in leading. So I've introduced the piece of baling twine. So it just got cut off of a hay bale. And I want to use that as like a middle ground between like me asking with the halter to go forward and actually attaching the lead rope. So I'm just letting him get introduced to it here. I'm just having him touch it and target it, and then I'll click and feed. And then I'm having it touch his nose and clicking and feeding when it touches him. So I'm just introducing it to him, and then I'll touch him all over his body with it. But the goal is to kind of loop that through the clip on the bottom of his halter. And since in the previous lesson he's been desensitized to seeing the rope and the lead rope, the full thickness of the lead rope underneath his chin, which he's afraid of, he should be decently desensitized to that now. And so I'm gonna combine the seeing the lead rope under his chin and moving off of the pressure, but in a little bit safer way, because I really don't want him to get scared and run away with the lead rope, and then he thinks the lead rope's chasing him, and then he's more scared, and you gotta have a problem there. So with this way, I can loop the twine through his halter, and then I can lead him from that, and then if he gets scared, I can always let go. And then the twine will just fall out of his halter, or it'll slide out because it's not tied in, it's just looped through. So I'm trying to kind of do little baby steps where he feels successful and doesn't overwhelm him, but with also still going toward our goal of leading him with the lead rope. So I'm just kind of getting him familiar with it. I want it to touch it on his legs, just in case like he were to pull away and it was kind of swinging around under his neck. And I just don't want him to scare him. And he's already afraid of the regular lead rope, so I'm just making sure that he's good with this and checking all my bases here. So I probably didn't need to do as much desensitizing as I did. I'm just kind of rubbing it on him and then clicking and then taking it off and going and feeding him. So I do this on both sides. I cut out that part, or I fast forward through it, something like that, because it's not super necessary. I think I just fast forwarded through it, but especially for him, he needed as much desensitizing as he can possibly get. So doing all of that is not a waste of time. I just made it faster for the sake of the video, because it's literally the same thing on the other side of the horse. So lots of good desensitizing here. He's handling it really well. He's not super worried. And Atlas has a hard time generalizing. So like with this piece of twine, at first he's kind of afraid of it, and you can see later on the video he's still a little weary of it, because he doesn't generalize like all ropes, and he doesn't love ropes to begin with, but he's not like, oh, this is different, maybe it's safe. Like he doesn't think anything is safe. So it's the difficult horses that will teach you to try new things, and Atlas has definitely made me try new things. My other Mustang Caster is not like this. I literally put the halter on him way faster than I did it with Atlas, because he's had it on probably the first week or two I had him, and then I attached the lead rope soon after and led him to a different field. So he's like completely different horse than Atlas. But it does make you be more innovative and think of new things. But so I just sped through this whole desensitizing, because I did the same exact thing on the other side, and I'm just rubbing it, getting a little bit further as I go down, and as it's on him, I'm going to click and then take it off and feed him, because I want to click while the twine is on his body and he's being relaxed. So he's doing great with that. I'm kind of shaking it around, and it's not a big deal. So not too bad. And like, I don't need to necessarily desensitize him on the back legs with it. That's not super necessary, but he could use a lot of desensitizing. So I've not used gloves before with Atlas, so I'm just giving him a moment to kind of figure out what they are, because both the Mustangs were afraid of the gloves at first, because I had started off not using them, and then, oh, my hands are different now. It's terrifying, apparently. So Atlas especially does not generalize super well. So it was scary. They smell different. They feel different. They make a different sound. So he doesn't just generalize like all people's hands, regardless is what is on them. So that's why I had to break everything down for him. But I just let him touch it. Once he touches it, I'm going to click and feed him, and just kind of get him comfortable with that first, because if I just go in there and we're ready to do this, I don't even think about it, and I just start leading him. It could be the gloves that scares him. So I'm breaking it down, because when there's too many of those scary things, that's when you get the blow up. That's when you get the pull away and the buck and the bolt and all those things. So he's a little nervous. I'm gonna just bring him back, which he's done much better than the last video. He left a couple times, but he's a lot more relaxed in this video, so that was really good. He comes back, he targets my hand. I'll go ahead and give him a treat, but he's doing pretty good, not too bad with that. I just want to get him comfortable with the gloves on both sides of his head, because I wanted to put on the gloves because my goal is to obviously hold on to the rope, and then if I cannot, because he's a small horse but he's stronger than me, then I don't want to get rope burn, because it's a piece of twine. Like, you can get rope burn with a regular lead rope, and you definitely can with a piece of twine. So I would definitely don't do this if your twine is not cut in half, because then it's just a loop, and that could be really dangerous. This is cut, so it's just one straight piece of twine, and I'm gonna loop it through the halter, so that if he got loose, he would step on it and it would just slide right out, and then he's not tied to anything. So, and also make sure that you're in a safe environment. He's in the round pen, so he's not in his pasture. You can't run through an unsafe fence like electric or wire or anything like that. So, but he's calming down, not doing too bad here. He's comfortable with the gloves, so I'm gonna go back and review just having him come forward off of the halter pressure first. So I'm only going to change one thing at a time. So I've changed the gloves, so I'm going to go ahead and make sure that he remembers this lesson, that he'll come forward up off the pressure. And he got a little worried there because he saw the gloves, or the gloves felt weird. Something about the gloves worried him, and it's not a big deal. I just let him target it again, and then we'll go on with what we were doing. But he has that like aversion to stuff like under his nose, and he could see him kind of like side-eyeing me there, and was like, I don't know, I'm not so sure about that. So he's very detail oriented, but I want to make sure I can lead him from both sides. He moved forward nice right there. There, that's better. Not very sticky. I just want to show him that we're playing the same game we did before. Rules are the same, just a different equipment has been introduced, so nothing too crazy. So we do both sides. And he kind of backed up. I'm just going to go with him a little bit. I don't want to chase him or make the pressure too much. I'm just going to wait until he comes off of that pressure a little bit. He's coming forward, so I'll click him while he's moving forward, and then I release with my hand as soon as he comes forward as well. So he's coming forward. He's a little worried, not real forward, but he's trying, and he's not just going into flight, he's trying, so. And then again, make sure I can do it on both sides. I'm just gonna have him follow my hand as like a target there, and which he readily follows because he knows how to do that, just to build his confidence with the gloves a little bit. I'll do it on the other side too, with my other hand. So I'm gonna go back and introduce the piece of twine, make sure he's cool with it again, move around his nose. I'll click him and feed him for that. So I want to move it like around his face so he can see like the twine moving up underneath his nose there, and he's not super worried about that. I'm just gonna go ahead and let him see it coming from underneath his halter. So I'm just starting out like I did in the last lesson, where I have the twine end in one hand and then the other end on the other hand, but underneath his chin, also holding on to the halter. So he can see that line, but it's not attached yet. So he's moving forward. He's sticky and a little apprehensive, but he's moving forward. Just getting it set here. So he's coming forward decently. Not too bad. I'll click him and feed him for that. That's pretty good. And then he wanted to back away, so I'm just gonna say no, we're gonna come forward off that pressure, and that was really good. Now he's just getting a little worried. He doesn't love that straight line that the twine makes, and he gets nervous when he sees that, and then he wants to leave and back up, and then he feels the pressure of the halter, and he just wants to back up really fast. So I want to keep the pulling away to a minimum, obviously, so I'm not over facing him, and I definitely don't want him to learn that he can just pull away whenever and leave and not deal with anything. This is pretty nice right here. Leading decently. So if your horse is more of a pushy, like pulls away, just wants to leave for the heck of it, then I wouldn't do this. This is just because Atlas is very fearful. If your horse is more like, I'm just gonna pull away and then go over here, and he's not super worried about it, I would just put the lead rope on, and we'll deal with it like that. I put a longer one on so I can work with him in the round penny. He can't get super far away and get away very much. Obviously I don't want that for any of the horses, but I feel like for Atlas and for ones that are more fearful, kind of leaving the situation is okay, because he doesn't feel as trapped. So, or like the twine is chasing him at that point. He can leave and it's not following him in his eyes. So I just kind of went with him a bit more. I didn't want to chase him. I just wanted to go with him. I don't want to escalate it so he runs off, but I want to bring his attention back to me and then try again. And then you can tell he does settle pretty good after that too. So he's like, he's afraid of that. Whatever that line is, that's the tightness of the rope, or the twine from his halter to my hand, scares him for whatever reason. I'm just yielding his hindquarters, getting him to face up. So I'm just making it tight here, and see how he's worried about that. He's like, oh my goodness, I've never seen that before. So I'm just gonna let him target it and then go ahead and feed him. So for whatever reason, the rope getting tight scares him. And I feel like it's because he's been introduced to the electric fence, and he's thinking that is the electric fence. So he doesn't generalize when he's learning new things. He thinks everything's bad. So when he does think everything's bad, he generalizes that everything's bad. So when he sees the rope on the electric fence, he's like, that's terrifying. And he thinks that all things are terrifying, but he doesn't do that in a mindset of like calmness. So you can definitely tell he's more afraid than anything, and he's not in that leading mindset, or the learning mindset. But I had to go and refill my hay, and then we're just doing the same thing here, and he's much more relaxed here, just touching that lead rope while it's tight and not being shocked by it. So, and that, I'm not saying like don't use electric fence with the Mustangs. I use electric fence for all my horses, but he just thought it was going to get him too. And it's kind of at the same height, and it's rope, so he's like, oh gosh, it's scary. But now that he's touched it a few times and he's okay with it, he's learned that it's not going to get him. It's not the same kind of rope. So hopefully, I think he improves a little bit more now because he knows that that's two different things. But while he's just targeting this, I did introduce the electric fence while he was in the round pen. So I just kind of started by cutting off half the round pen with the fence. So if something were to happen, he's still in an enclosed, safe area. So he's not going to just escape. I didn't just put him out in the pasture with electric fence and hope that he figures it out. That would be really dangerous. So, but here we're going to try some leading again with the twine. He was trying to go forward, so we'll take that, and then keep progressing with it. So he wasn't super worried there. He has like this look where he'll look at something and you know he's worried about it. He was a little bit more relaxed. And this is some nice walking right here. That was really good. And then he got a little worried. He wanted to back up a bit, and I just let him touch that rope because it got tight, and he was like, oh my, what is that? It's scary again. So I just waited till he relaxed and targeted it, and then I fed him. So remind him about that. So it's just that tight rope part that he thinks is really scary. So he moved forward, I'll click and feed him. And then I had to move him over, so I went to the other side, and you couldn't really see what I was doing, so I cut that part out. And I was just desensitizing him to this tightness on this side. Like you can see where the rope is tight like that, like I just did before. I just did on the other side, but you couldn't tell, so I took it out. So that time he wanted to kind of go the other way. He wasn't super sure about it, and I just kind of went with him until he relaxed, and then I clicked and fed him. This is much better. So he's going forward a lot better. He's not super worried about the twine. Not too bad there. So he's made progress. It's not perfect, but we're getting there.